Okay, so like, imagine this, right? You're just scrolling through your phone and all of a sudden, bam, you've got an AI in your pocket. Like the really smart kind, the kind they talk about in the news. You know what I mean? No waiting, no clunky interface. Just pure AI power right there.
Hmm.
That's kind of the future NVIDIA is aiming for with this Minitron research. And let me tell you, it's pretty wild stuff.
It really is, yeah. The kind of AI we're talking about here, those large language models, they've been making waves for a while now, but the problem is they're huge building and training something like the Llama 3.1 8B or the Mistral NeMo 12B, it takes so much power, so many resources, and don't even get me started on the time it takes.
It's like trying to fit a whole supercomputer in your backpack, right?
It's just not practical.
Exactly. And that's where Minitron comes in. NVIDIA is finding really clever ways to shrink these models down, making them more accessible and way more efficient without losing too much of that intelligence.
So how do they do that? Do they just like squeeze all the smarts out of it like a balloon or something? Haha. No, it's a little more elegant than that. It's mostly a combo of pruning and distillation. Imagine a sculptor, chiseling away at a block of marble to reveal this masterpiece. It's kind of like that they're removing the parts of the AI that aren't necessary. It makes it leaner faster.
So they're basically trimming the fat
Yeah.
and getting rid of the AI that isn't really doing much thinking.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. And the research actually looks at two different kinds of this pruning, depth pruning and width pruning. Depth pruning is like taking out whole layers of the model, simplifying the structure. With pruning, on the other hand, is more about slimming down the connections within the AI, making its internal workings more efficient.
Hmm. So like choosing between making the AI think simpler thoughts or just making it think faster.
Yeah, you got it. And they both have their own pluses and minuses, which is something the research digs into. But pruning is only half the story. The other big technique is distillation.
Distillation. Is that like boiling down the AI into some super concentrated smart potion?
Haha, not quite. Think of it like a master craftsman, you know, passing on their skills to an apprentice. That's basically distillation. The original massive AI model is the teacher, and it guides a smaller, more compact student model. That student model learns and gets to be almost as capable, even though it's smaller.
So like AI mentorship. The student learns from the best and hopefully gets to be just as good even though it's smaller.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that NVIDIA's researchers found something kind of unexpected. To get the best results, they had to fine-tune the teacher AI before distillation even started.
Right. So the teacher AI needed like a refresher course before it could teach the student.
Exactly like the teacher's textbook was outdated and needed some revisions before class. It just shows how important it is to have the teacher model be up to date for that knowledge transfer.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk results. Did Minitron work? Did they actually make these smaller AI models without making them dumber?
The results are honestly pretty impressive. They made this model called MN Minitron 8B that does better than other models its size. And I'm talking across a whole bunch of different language tasks. And get this, MN Minitron 8B does all this while using way fewer resources during training.
Wow, so it's like David and Goliath, the smaller model is punching way above its weight.
Exactly. And then there's the Llama 3.1 Minitron 4B models, which are even smaller. These also did really well, which proves that bigger isn't always better in AI. Smart design and good training techniques can make a smaller model incredibly capable.
So it's not about cramming in as much data as possible. It's about optimizing the way the AI is built and the way it learns.
That's a key takeaway from this research. It's not just about bigger is better, it's about smarter and more efficient. And to figure this out, the NVIDIA team did some tests to see which pruning method did better. Depth or width?
Ooh, depth pruning versus width pruning. Who won?
Well, it wasn't really a clear win for either. Each one has its own strengths. Width pruning seems to keep the accuracy better, especially for the more complex tasks.
So for the tough problems that need a deeper understanding of language, width pruning is the way to go.
Exactly. But there's a trade-off. While width pruning might be better with accuracy, depth pruning makes the AI much faster.
So if speed is the most important thing, depth pruning might be better, even if it's a little less accurate.
Exactly. It's all about using the right tool for the job. And we can't forget that finding about the teacher AI needing a little tune-up, without that, the student model just didn't learn as well.
It's like making sure the teacher has all the latest info before teaching the class.
Exactly. Getting that knowledge transfer right is really important. So now they've got these smaller, compressed AI models. But did they actually test them out on real hardware?
Yeah, because it's one thing to say it works better in theory, But did they actually see the speed improvement in real life?
They did, and the results were pretty amazing. The depth prune model, the one that's all about speed, was 2.7 times faster than the original.
Wow, 2.7 times faster. That's a huge difference.
It is, and even the width pruned model, which is better at the complex stuff, was still 1.8 times faster.
So even if you need that accuracy, you still get a big speed boost. It's like having your cake and eating it too.
It really is a great combo, and that's what makes this research so exciting. It's opening up the doors for AI that's more efficient and easier to get, the kind of AI that can be built right into our devices, making them smoother, faster, more seamless.
So it's not just about making AI more powerful, it's about making it fit into our lives better.
Exactly. And this brings up an even bigger question. What does it actually mean to have this kind of AI so easily available? What does it mean for how we work, learn, and just use technology every day?
That's a great point. We talked about how Minitron works the nuts and bolts of shrinking these models down. But what does it actually mean for the average person? How could this change our world?
Those are the questions we need to answer, and we'll dive deeper into those in the next part of our deep dive. So we know now that NVIDIA's Minitron is really pushing the limits of AI, right? Shrinking those massive language models down to something way more manageable. And the cool thing is they're not losing a ton of smarts in the process.
Yeah, it's like they found a way to concentrate AI power, like those little pods of laundry detergent,
Yeah.
tiny but powerful.
That's a good way to put it. So now the question is, what can we actually do with these smaller, more efficient
Am
models?
I already thinking about a world where our phones can do things that would normally take a whole room of computers?
Exactly. And one of the most exciting areas is on-device processing. Imagine having super powerful AI right on your phone or laptop, no internet needed. You could have AI assistants that actually feel like you're talking to a real person, language translation that happens instantly, even crazy complex image and video editing, all powered by AI and all happening right there on your device.
So it's not just about speed, it's about being able to use AI anywhere.
Exactly. And this opens up so many possibilities for developers. They could create these incredible apps and tools that use AI without worrying about internet connections or processing power.
It's like giving every developer their own little supercomputer to play with. What about other areas where this could have a big impact?
Well, think about healthcare. Imagine having portable medical tools that can analyze medical images and find problems right away, all powered by AI that fits in your hand.
That's amazing. It could totally change healthcare, especially in places that don't have easy access to doctors or fancy equipment.
Absolutely. And it goes way beyond healthcare. Think about manufacturing with AI-powered robots that can handle all sorts of complicated tasks in constantly changing environments.
Right.
Or education where personalized learning platforms can get even smarter, adjusting to each student's needs.
It sounds like this tech could touch pretty much every part of our lives, from the little everyday things to the big groundbreaking stuff.
It really could, and that's what makes it so exciting, but also a little scary. Like any powerful tech, there are downsides and ethical things we need to think about.
I'm curious, what are some of the challenges that come with making AI so readily available?
One big concern is people using it for bad stuff. If powerful AI is everywhere, we got to make sure it doesn't get used for things like deepfakes or spreading false information.
Yeah, that makes sense. We need to make sure this tech is used responsibly.
Exactly. And there's also the question of who gets to use it. If these AI tools need special hardware or knowledge to use it, could create a divide where only certain people get to benefit from AI.
So we need to make sure that everyone benefits from AI and that everyone can be a part of this tech revolution.
Absolutely. It's about making sure AI empowers people and communities, not just big companies or governments.
This is all really interesting stuff. We talked about pruning and distillation, the techniques NVIDIA used to make these AI models smaller. But they also mentioned fine-tuning the teacher AI. Can you explain why that was so important?
Sure. So remember, in distillation, the student AI is learning from a bigger, smarter teacher AI. The idea is that the student can do almost as well as the teacher, even though it's smaller and more efficient. But what the researchers found is that the teacher's got to be good at its job. If the teacher's knowledge is outdated or incomplete, the student won't learn as well.
So it's like if the teacher's notes are messy and outdated, they need to update their knowledge before they can teach it properly.
Exactly. And this fine-tuning process basically means they retrained the teacher model on a more up-to-date data set, making sure it had the most accurate and complete knowledge to pass on.
It's like real-world teaching, even with AI, having a good teacher is super important.
It really shows how important it is to keep learning and improving even for AI.
So they've got these smaller, more efficient models. But how much faster are they really? Did they actually see a difference on real computers?
They did, and the numbers are impressive. The depth-pruned model, the one focused on speed, was 2.7 times faster than the original.
2.7 times that. That's like going from dial-up internet to high speed.
Exactly. It's a massive improvement in speed. And even the width-pruned model, the one that's better with accuracy, was still 1.8 times faster.
So even if you're doing complex stuff, you still get a big speed boost.
That's what's so great about this research. You can choose the right approach for the job, whether you need speed accuracy or a bit of both.
It's about having the right tool, and this research gives developers a whole new set of tools to work with.
Exactly. And this takes us back to that big question. What does this mean for the future of AI? How is this tech going to change our world?
That's the million-dollar question.
This?
And as we move into the last part of our deep dive, we'll explore what this AI revolution might mean for you, our listener. So we've been talking about NVIDIA's Minitron research and how it's kind of changing the game for AI. We've gone from the nuts and bolts of how they're making these AI models smaller to all the cool stuff it could mean for things like healthcare and even education.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride exploring the world of AI and where it's headed.
And now I think it's time to bring it back to our listener. How could these advancements in AI, especially this idea of making powerful AI more accessible, how could that actually impact their life?
That's a great question. It's one thing to talk about all these possibilities, but what does it actually mean for someone in their everyday life? Okay, so let's say you're a writer, you're sitting there staring at a blank page. Maybe you've got writer's block, or you just want to get your ideas down faster.
I think we've all been there at some point, that feeling of wishing the words would just come out.
Exactly. Now imagine you've got an AI writing assistant that's powered by one of these super efficient language models. And this isn't just like a spell checker or something. This AI actually gets your style. It can suggest different ways to say things, help you structure your arguments, even come up with creative ideas based on what you tell it. And because these models are so efficient, they can run right on your laptop or even your phone, so you've got that AI help wherever you go.
So it's like having a writing partner who's always there to bounce ideas off of and help you polish your work.
Exactly, and that's just one example. Let's say you're trying to learn a new language. You could have a language learning app that uses one of these advanced AI models. It could understand your pronunciation, create lessons just for you, and even have conversations with you like you're talking to a real person, all happening in real time on your phone.
Well, that's like having your own personal language tutor available 24/7.
Mm.
What about for people who work with data or need to analyze information? Could these AI advancements help them too?
Definitely imagine being able to give tons of data to an AI tool, and it just figures everything out for you. It could find trends, give you key insights, and even create reports or visuals without you needing to be a data scientist. This could be huge for businesses, researchers, anyone who needs to understand complex information.
So it's not just about making AI smarter, it's about making it easier for anyone to use, even if they're not a tech expert.
Exactly. And as this tech keeps getting better, we're going to see even more creative and unexpected ways to use it. The possibilities are endless.
It's both exciting and a little mind-blowing to think about how much AI could change our lives in the next few years. But before we wrap up, I think it's important to remember that there are still challenges with AI, even with all this progress.
You're right. This research is amazing, but it's not perfect. We still need to figure out how to make sure these AI models are used for good, how to avoid bias, and how to make sure everyone has access to the benefits of AI.
It reminds us that technology is a tool, and it's up to us to use it wisely. We need to work together to make sure AI is used to benefit everyone.
I agree. It's so important to talk about the impact of AI, both the good and the bad. Everyone needs to be informed and involved in these conversations, not just the people who work in AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who want to learn more about this research or about AI in general, where can they go?
Well, the NVIDIA research paper is a great place to start if you want all the technical details. There are also some great organizations out there like the AI Now Institute and the Future of Life Institute that are looking at the ethical and social implications of AI. And of course, staying up to date on the latest AI news from reliable sources is super important.
It's all about being an informed citizen in the age of AI, understanding both the potential and the risks, so we can all help shape a future where this tech is used for the right reasons.
Well said. I think that's a great way to wrap things up. This deep dive has taken us on a journey through some of the most exciting developments in AI, and as we've seen, the future is full of possibilities, both good and bad. It's up to all of us to make sure those possibilities turn into a future that benefits everyone.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the incredible world of AI. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring.